Hello everybody, and here we are with the first of the month falling on a Sunday today, which I have the day off, and that means we're going to get a pickups video going just right at the beginning of the month, which is always cool. Before I even start, I was thinking about it, and I think I might as well point out that with my Bray Wyatt wallpaper, he morphs into the Fiend on my background, but I got a new phone, and that also might count, I guess, to some degree as a pickup, because the main problem I had with my old phone was that I couldn't fit even regular apps on it, let alone games. And I got a new phone that just straight up has more space on it. And I'm playing Pokemon Go again, and that's great. And also the Magic Duels. And maybe anything else that catches my interest on that, but it's a thing that I have now. New phone, finally. We'll start off with the 4 Switch games. Good haul of Switch games this month, even though, I haven't played 3 of them, but good ones to add to the collection. We'll go with the obvious one. I seem like the only person that got Shield from my Pokemon game, and I feel like I always get the red one, but I also always, I don't know, it's a weird... I feel like the red one is, a lot of times, is the more popular one. Well, I guess it hasn't really been lately, because Moon had a more interesting gimmick. I don't know where I'm going with that, but I feel like nobody else got Shield, everyone else got Sword, but I thought Zamazenta with his big Shield mane looked really cool, and I liked him, so I went with that. I already beat it. It's great. I overwhelmed by the amount of Pokemon that are available in the wild, to the point that, I know people are upset about the Pokedex, but, I never go at it with the same Pokemon I've had before. I always like getting the Pokemon that are in it. So with so many Pokemon, I was really, really happy with it. I'm very pleased with this game. I enjoyed it. Anyway, probably spent more time than I needed to on that, but let's because I'm going to keep buying Street Fighters, even though I'm not good at Street Fighter and I very rarely play it. And if I play fighting games, it's usually not Street Fighter. But it was a good deal on Amazon this past week for Street Fighter Anniversary Collection, which has basically... I feel like I'd say this about any Street Fighter collection, but it's well, it has all of the ones that you would need. It has pretty much all of them. But it really does. It's got Street Fighter 1, whatever, don't care. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 versions of Street Fighter 2. So, original, totally basic version, up to Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, which has, all the modes and all the characters, except for... the most recent one would have been Hyper Fighting, and then the one that's a standalone Switch game, Hyper, for the 360. And then we've got the thing that I thought was really cool about it is it's got all 3 alphas, and it's got 3 versions of Street Fighter 3, which nobody really talks about Street Fighter 3 as much, unless they're playing strictly American Dreamcast games, and then Alpha 3 and Street Fighter 3 are pretty much what you've got to work with, but... the alpha games look really cool because they seem more... the rosters are really different, I believe, because they have a little bit more story focus, or a prequel focus to them. But anyway, it's a good collection to pick up for a little more than $1 a game. Not that that's really how you should approach compilations at this point, because it's... which ones are you really going to play? But there's online support for 3 of them, too, which is really awesome. Finally, a game that I have wanted to play for a really long time, but it's only ever been available, digital, on PCs, or it's always been digital up until this point when it got released by Humble Bundle. But A Hat in Time, very similar, as far as, what people say about it, to Yooka-Laylee, which I know I wasn't thrilled with Yooka-Laylee when I played it, but people have been saying great things about this game for, 5 years, and I finally... have my hands on it, and this is the next Switch game I'm going to play since I finished Pokemon. Really, really excited to play this. And then finally, Celeste released on physical. Limited Run, who are becoming really obnoxious at this point, with them being the first, but also the most prolific limited release game company. But they got Celeste, and they did a really good thing with Celeste, I think, which is that they waited until they had the DLC on it, so that they could put the DLC on the cartridge and get everybody the complete game, the complete experience on the cartridge, which is the whole reason we buy limited run games in the first place. So that's really great. This is the Best Buy version. I still, until March, I have Gamers Club unlocked, and have gotten like more than my money's worth out of it. It's so great. But like any limited run releases, I'm not buying them from limited run at this point because half of them are coming to Best Buy, including like the biggest ones like Celeste. Obviously, I went in to get Hat in Time actually, and I didn't realize that Celeste had come out, and there was a stack. It was this deep of Celeste. They must have had 15 copies of Celeste, and I was like, oh yeah, Celeste is out. I'm gonna grab that too. So I am excited to play the DLC, the extra stuff that I haven't played yet. But Celeste is that good. If you haven't played it before, no reason not to get it at this point. Now that it's on physical, it's absolutely incredible 2D platformer. The best one I've played since Rayman Legends. That's how good it is. One Game Boy Advance game, a really weird one for me to buy, especially complete in the box, but it came up online on Declutter, actually, which very, very rarely gets Game Boy or anything because it's cardboard boxes. But I was really excited because it was like, oh, it's on Declutter, it means it's going to be in the box, and then the price, when they actually put the price on it, was a good deal, and I was like, yeah, that's really cool. Haven't played any of the Golden Sun games, and this is the second one in the series. I don't have the first one. I have it on the third one on the DS. But this is just a really nice, complete game to have, really, considering I didn't pay that much for it. And it's by Camelot, and I really like Camelot because they did the Mario Golf and stuff. So it's by a developer that I like, and it's a Nintendo first-party, or second-party series, really. It has a lot of good things about it, and, you know, if I end up playing it, it'll probably be a good time. Actually, I'll grab this. I have one Dreamcast game and one GameCube game. They kind of go together. I ended up grabbing both of these, updated old arcade games. On GameCube, we have Defender, and Dreamcast, we have Centipede. Centipede has always looked really cool to me, the updated version. I like Centipede Infestation on the 3DS and Wii, too. And this is the Dreamcast PS1 release. I'm not expecting to be blown away by it, but it's a cool game. I like the original game too, and that's a cool update. Defender is actually this GameCube Defender. If we're talking about Declutter, I actually ordered this from them twice before, and they canceled it both times, either because they didn't have it or whatever. It was the same price every time. So third time was a charm of actually like them getting Defender for the GameCube and me buying it, and actually, after paying them 3 times for it, finally getting one. And that's not really the greatest story. But that's what happened. It took me three times ordering that from them. Each time they got it in. 3 PS2 games here. I am a little bit bummed that this didn't have the slipcover on it, because it's a really nice looking slipcover on this. But Need for Speed Carbon Collector's Edition for the PS2. With both this and everything. I actually also got this on Declutter, and I only paid like $5 for it. So just it being the collector's edition, I was like, yeah, give me that version of it. I've got so many Need for Speed games, and it's a series that I do like. I know I like the driving in it, but I just don't play driving games that much. So like, this is like 5th or 6th on the list of like, if I was gonna play another Need for Speed game, I would play like Most Wanted, Underground 2, Underground 1, and then probably Carbon after that, maybe, unless there's like a 360 one that I'm blanking on right now that I have. Or, maybe Hot Pursuit, or Undercover has a story mode to it. I played The Run, I liked The Run. So many Need for Speed games, and I like the series, but I don't actually play them that much. But it's a nice version. You got Star Trek Voyager Elite Force. Now this is a really interesting game because it's probably out of all the Star Trek games that have ever been released. I'm not the biggest Star Trek fan, so this is like the only Star Trek game that's ever come out that I've actually really been interested in because it's barely a Star Trek game. It's basically Quake 3 with a Star Wars skin over it. And that's just really cool. It's developed by Ravensoft. They know their first-person shooters. They know Quake. They know, this era of FPSs for sure. It is just a really, really interesting, like, reskinned edition of of Quake 3. It's a Star Trek skin on Quake 3, which is super cool. And then finally, for PS2, anyway, this is just a weird-looking game. Savage Skies. It's just the fact that it's about dragons. I'm like, yeah, I'm interested. I want that. And I know next to nothing. It doesn't have the greatest reviews. It's got kind of, meh, mediocre reviews. But along with this, along with, like, Drakon and Lair and even, like, the first Drakengard and stuff like that, even if the games aren't that great, I'm definitely interested in them because they're about dragons and flying dragons and fighting dragons. And dragons, whether it's in video games or TV or anything like that, it's amazing to me that I haven't really played Skyrim for longer than a couple hours because I would be super into Skyrim for all the dragons that are in it. But the amount of design freedom that you get with dragons is one of the coolest things that I think designers can have in video games, and I'm always interested in it. So that game might not be good at all, but it's about dragons, so I'm interested. Let's do the PS3 ones first, because the PS2 ones are two really cool ones. 3 PS3 games. It's been a long time. I just don't get that much PS3 or 360 anymore, because I feel like I have almost everything that I could need. But I never really intended on getting this because it usually goes for $10 to $15. I had picked it up for under $10, which was kind of what it would take for me to buy it. But Green Day Rock Band is like the last major rock band before Rock Band 4, the last major rock band on, the PS3 360 era. And I'm not huge into Green Day. I like a couple songs by Green Day, but I'm not the biggest fan of them. I liked them a lot more when I was a kid. So I wasn't not like the Beatles or Guitar Hero Metallica, which had all metal stuff, or anything else like that. Didn't want this that bad. There's also a Plus version that I think is like a complete edition with all the DLC, because I think Rock Band went really hard on getting a lot of DLC for Green Day. Just as much of Green Day's discography as they could get, apparently. So I don't have that Plus version, but I do have this. I think the one thing about Rock Band's single artist, however you want to say it, like the artist-focused games that I don't like compared to Guitar Heroes is that Rock Band sticks to just that discography and doesn't mix it up. And if you're not the hugest fan of that band, it's gonna get old. You kind of have to play it in spurts. Whereas Guitar Hero Metallica, I played Guitar Hero Metallica singing and playing guitar because I wanted to do that for a long time, and I wanted to do it with whatever game I felt like I could do, and I did it with that game, and I barely even had to play any Metallica songs because I had singing on easy mode with the headset mic, and I only played 50% Metallica songs in that game because there's so much other stuff. But with Green Day Rock Band, you only have Green Day songs. With the Beatles Rock Band, you only have Beatles songs. So that's kind of I prefer the way Guitar Hero did it with that. But I also understand that if you're making a band-centric game, people who like the band, if that band has a wide appeal, will be pretty much okay with anything that's by that band. It might not necessarily like anything that isn't by that band. You're kind of a gamble you're taking with that, I guess. So. But I prefer to have at least some of a mix that's focused on that band, handpicked by that band. Next we have Fuel, which is a sort of like a MotorStorm-ish open world type of driving racing game. The most interesting thing about Fuel, the map in this game is really big, and that's one of the reasons that people really like it. And the vehicle variety is really cool, too. And I didn't buy this game for a wicked long time because of this. I don't know if you guys have seen this game before. I don't know if you know about this already. But this will drive me crazy for the rest of my life. And I wish... This is the thing that made me not want to buy this game, even though I thought it was interesting. The spine is upside down. I hate it. Like, I hate it. But anyway, whatever. We'll stop talking about it. Actually, that game's... I'll say one more thing about that game. Said I'll stop talking about it. This game is actually in the 1001 Games to Play Before You Die book, and that's one of the things that made me be like, oh, I hate that spine, I hate that case, I don't need to play that game. But I was like, yeah, if it's that interesting, I'll pick it up at some point. But I held off on it because of that. And then lastly, for PS3, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. I really didn't want to buy the later Harry Potter games for a long time because I figured that they were not that interesting, but I ended up finding out, and it's the reason that I got the first one already, that the Deathly Hallows ones in particular, it might be Half-Blood Prince might be like this too, I forget. But the two Deathly Hallows games are like cover shooters, which makes sense because the movie becomes more, the movies, they're so much darker and they start to feel like an action game or an action movie. So it made sense, especially with this one, the second one, being basically all about the Battle of Hogwarts. So, a long way off from playing this because, if I play Harry Potter games, I'd probably go like one game per in order. But those games are not, they're not cheap either because I feel like by the end of this, people kind of got tired of them and nobody bought the games. But yeah, at any rate, I'm glad to have a game for each Harry Potter game, and that is a lot cooler than I would have thought it would be. And we'll finish up on two PS4 games. This one I want to thank Mike Bianchi for swinging by GameStop and picking this up for me on Pro Day, because this is, you can't see it because of the damn shrink wrap reflecting, but this is Metal Wolf Chaos XD. If you don't know what Metal Wolf Chaos is, it is so weird. I think a lot of people do now because it's been covered in YouTube videos by all kinds of people, and it'll show up on any like import games list that never came over here, stuff like that. Well, now it came over here because Devolver Digital, which this game totally falls in their wheelhouse to do something with, made a modern port for it. So this is a game by From Software, Dark Souls people, obviously, and people are just wild over anything that's in their back catalog and going in and trying to play them. From Software made a lot of mech games, mostly Armored Core. So Armored Core has hundreds of games, I feel like, in the series. But they made this game, Metal Wolf Chaos, for the original Xbox. Weird game for From Software to make a game. Weird system for a game by From Software. It only came out in Japan, so it's a weird game for From Software to make a game for, and it's also weird for an original Xbox game to be Japan exclusive. There aren't that many of those because that system was not popular in Japan, and Xbox never has been. And it is the most American game that you will ever see. It is a parody, pretty much, of American action, movies, culture, stuff like that, where you are the president who jumps in a giant mech to stop the vice president who has taken command of the military and tried to lead a hostile takeover of you and the country. And that is insane. The game is like entirely in English, even the original Xbox version. And it's hilarious, and it's absurd, and it's crazy, and thank God that this came out, and not just so that people could play it because it was a Japanese Xbox original exclusive, but because this game, because it's so weird and so good and so interesting, would go for like crazy money. It was like a $90 to $100+ original Xbox game. So now you can get this. This was on sale on Pro Day for $14.99, and my friend Mike, who I think still had Pro membership, and I was like, hey, can you go grab this for me? He did. I appreciate it, man. Thank you. I still haven't opened it, but I really wanted to get it. And finally, I'm playing this right now, and I'm going to spend like a good chunk of my day playing this now that I finished Pokemon Shield, Resident Evil 2 Remake. Here is the perfect example, though, of how fast games for not the Switch go down in value at this point, and how you can predict how cheap a game is going to be depending on where it came on, what month it came out, the time of year it came out. And And yeah, just guessing on Black Friday sales, because I saw this came out in January, and I'm like, cool, I want to play that. And I didn't want to go get it right away, definitely because I have not actually ever finished the original version, and I still haven't finished the original version. And I held off on playing it because I thought I was going to play the N64 version first for the N64 quest, and then I saw what it was going to be on Black Friday because I knew it was going to be cheap on Black Friday. Came out right after the holiday season last year, so there's a good 10-month period that it can go down in price and then go on sale for Black Friday. And I think Best Buy had it for $15 on Black Friday. I actually picked it up before that, knowing the price it was going to be, and paid a little bit more so that I didn't have to go to Best Buy on Black Friday. But I got my hands on it, and I decided I was going to play it because I thought that Resident Evil 2, well, it's a 1998 release game for the PS1. I thought I was going to be coming up on it around 1999 for the N64 stuff, which is the year I'm on now. But it actually came out that port came out in like 2000, so I'm a ways off from playing it. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to play this version. I'm going to play this one now. So yeah, I started it. I played like a half hour of it at the most. But I'm ready to get really into it because I am excited to play it. And the thing that really jumped out at me, the little bit that I played, oh man, I don't get that disturbed or upset. And I especially didn't expect to get really affected by anything that's in this game, imagery or atmosphere or anything like that, because this is Resident Evil 2. And even if I've never played all the way through the original Resident Evil 2, I feel like I know that game inside and out. Resident Evil 2 has been discussed and shown and talked about for the 20 years it's been out, for so long, that I was like, I still felt like I knew what I was expecting. And 15-20 minutes into the game, when you get right into the police station, you go off into that first wing and you pull the guy out from under the metal shutter. And he's completely, his complete bottom half above his stomach is all that you pull out, and you just see entrails, and his legs, anything below the waist, has been completely ripped off and torn to shreds. And I was like, I saw the detail, and I saw the intensity of the graphics and the coloring of the lighting when it hit just the viscera of just the remains of this dude they were pulling out. And I felt a little bit like, oh man, that's just so, like, feeling Leon in that moment too, pulling this guy out and trying to save him. But just seeing what can be accomplished now. And I thought I was going to throw up. It was nasty. And I was really, really blown away by that, because I did not expect to be that deeply affected by anything going on in this game, at the very least, because I felt like I knew this game even without playing it. And I'm so excited for what the rest of this game has to offer, just based on that alone. So I'm gonna, with that, sign off from you guys. That's me. Thank you for getting through this sick-voiced Derek talking about his games. And I'm gonna go to play Resident Evil 2, since the Patriots aren't playing until tonight. So I've got all afternoon to do that. So thank you for watching. I'll see you next month, and we'll talk about post-holiday pickups. All right.